Good morning, students. In our previous video, we discussed about the density of population. Now, in this video, we are going to understand about the composition of human resource and try to focus on our chapter, that is people as resource. How people can become a resource, how it is an asset for the nation. As you see here, composition of human resource. Actually, the traits such as age, sex, literacy, occupation, language, ethnicity, tribe, and religion explain the basic characteristics of human population. Here, we will look at the three major components of population, that is, sex, age, and literacy level, to focus on our topic, that is, people as a resource. As you know that sex composition generally refers to the number of women and men in a country. And this sex composition can be illustrated with the help of sex ratio. Actually, the ratio between the number of women and men in the population is called sex ratio. In our country, this method is adopted, but in different countries, different methods were adopted. Some of the countries have used the ratio in between the men to women, but in our country, the ratio between the number of women and men is considered. Although the sex ratio had increased to 1993 per 1000 males in 2001 census from 927 per 1000 males in 1991. Yet there is declining sex ratio among 0 to 6 years category. The sex ratio in this category is low in Delhi, Chandigarh, Punjab and Haryana. And as per 2011 census, sex ratio of our country is 940 women per 1000 male. As you know that Kerala has the highest sex ratio of 1084 females per 1000 males, and Haryana has the lowest sex ratio, that is 879 women per 1000 males. Among union territories, Puducherry has the highest sex ratio of 1087 and Daman and Diu has the lowest sex ratio of 618 women per 1000 males. Students, remembered, if the sex ratio is favorable, it is betterment for the nation. But if the sex ratio is unfavorable, then it's lead to greater focus by the government on health, education, literacy, employment to the women of our country. Now, second composition of human resource that we have to study is age structure. Actually, age is an essential attribute of population to determine occupation structure, literacy level, population growth, and other similar attributes. In our country, population is divided into three groups, that is 0 to 14 years, which we call children or dependent population. Then it is 15 to 64 years, which is adult or working population, and above 65 years, that is aged or dependent population. The share of working age group, that is 15 to 64, is always greater than the other age groups. The high income countries have high percentage of aged people and only 35 to 40% children. India has 34% of its population in the younger age group. It also has a great share of people in the working age group. The government has to provide health, education, and training to the people. Now, the third composition of human resource that we have to study is literacy level. Actually, literacy level or literacy rate, both are same thing. Literacy rate has increased from 52.21% to 65.38% during 1991 to 2001. But the female literacy rate has just increased from 39.38% in 1991 census to 54.28% in 2001 census. This is not a good sign, and as per 2011 census, the total literacy rate of our country is 74.04%, and among 74.04%, it is 82.14% for male and 65.46% for female. Students, this is only a glimpse for understanding how people can become a resource. Actually, if government have invest in education, that is health and skill or training, then how much the population of the country, it doesn't determine the country will be developed, because by investment in healthcare, in education, in skilled or in training, population of the country can make several changes and do according to their needs. Then after, we have to say how high population becomes an asset or a liability. Actually, high population was considered a big liability, and it was thought that high population is responsible for many socio-economic evils in the country. But today, it is felt that more population in the country may turn out to be a great asset in the future. Even developing countries think increase in population as liability and cause all socio-economic problems. But developed nations have a different view. They take it as an important factor of production and asset to the nation, because labor, which is skilled and unskilled, both are required for the factor of production. Labor, that is human, with the help of their knowledge, with the help of their skill, can make their desired output, can changes the world it is only the human which changes the surrounding, which changes the environment which they required. But it would not be proper to assume that the whole population as a resource. It is the skilled, remembered, it is the skilled and trained population only which can be termed as a factor of production and asset to the country and can participate and contribute in nation building. In India, about 35% of its population is illiterate. Government has to bear the burden of feeding, educating, housing, etc. of this category of population. Then such a population is certainly a social liability and cannot be called an asset. No doubt, India is an agricultural country and about two-thirds of the population depends on agriculture. Agricultural operations do not provide any expertise and skill to the labor force. Such a labor cannot be utilized in other industry also. If the rise in population continues at the present rate, India would catch up with China to become the most populous country in the world by the middle of this country. Sorry. And if our government invests in education, health and skill, only it becomes an asset for the nation. Now we discuss about India's relative position. What is the position of India in contrast to the world? Students, you know that India has a large number of scientists, engineers, doctors, software engineers, and technical manpower, which is being utilized for the nation building and rapid economic development. Even number of graduates is also very high. Indian professionals are working in large number in many parts of the world. With the Chinese population growth tapering off with the adoption of one-child norm in the early 90s, India is expected to have the largest productive workforce in the world in the coming years. Having the strength of the huge human resource base, the country is likely to achieve higher growth rate than that of China in the next 10 to 15 years. India would fulfill the needs of the most of the developed and developing countries in the world, requiring skill and technical manpower in the years to come. Now, with this discussion, we assume that India's population can become asset only when the government invests in this basic necessity. Now, in order to understand this more, we have to see a story which is given in your textbook of Sakal and Vilas. Actually, the story of Sakal we discuss first. In this story, it is given that there was two friends, Vilas and Sakal, living in the same village, Simapur. Sakal was a 12-year-old boy. His mother Sila looked all the domestic chores. His father Bhutta Chaudhary is an agricultural laborer and work in the agricultural field. Sakal helped his mother in domestic chores. He also looked after his younger brother Jitu and sister Setu. His uncle Syam had passed the matriculation examination but was sitting idle in the house as he had no job. Butta and Sila were eager to teach Sakal. They forced him to join the village school, which he soon joined. He started studying and completed his higher secondary examination. His father persuaded him to continue his studies. He raised a loan for Sakal to study a vocational course in computer. Sakal was meritorious and interested in study from the beginning. With great vigor and enthusiasm, he completed his course. After some time, he got a job in a private firm. He even designed a new kind of software. This software helped him increase the sale of the firm. His boss acknowledged his service and rewarded him with a promotion. Now, we discuss about the story of Vilas. Vilas was a 11-year-old boy residing in the same village as Sakal. Vilas' father Mahesh was a fisherman. His father passed away when he was only 2 years old. His mother Gita sold fish to earn money to feed the family. She bought fish from landowner ponds and sold it in the nearby mandi. She could earn only rupees 150 a day by selling fish. Vilas became a patient of arthritis. His mother could not afford to take him to the doctor. He could not go to school either. He was not interested in studies. He helped his mother in cooking and also looked after his younger brother Mohan. After some time, his mother fell sick and there was no one to look after her. There was no one in the family to support them. Vilas too was forced to sell fish in the same village. He, like his mother, earned only a meager income. Actually, students, in this two-case study, we show Sakal went to school and Vilas did not go. Sakal was strong and healthy. There was no need to visit to the doctor frequently. But Vilas was a patient of arthritis. Sakal acquired high degree in computer programming and found a job in private firm, while Vilas continued his work as his mother. As in the case of Sakal, several years of education added to the quality of labor. His total productivity adds to the growth of economy. And in case of Vilas, there could be no any education or healthcare facility. He spends his life selling fish like his mother, and his salary was also as his mother. From this true story, we conclude that investment in human resource like education and medical care can give high rates of return in future, and this investment on people is the same as investment in land and capital. For today, I conclude my videos here. Next day again, we come with our next topic. Also, In our previous video, I gave you my WhatsApp number and told you to ask any questions related to your topic through my WhatsApp number. With this, thank you.